Hello and welcome back to Jules Math Tools. In our session today, this is part 2 on using the division ladder to calculate the LCM when we have common factors. And if you want to see how this is done, let's get started. The example that I'm using today to calculate the LCM using the division ladder is one that I've used before, but in my previous video when I calculated the LCM using the division ladder, each of these numbers were worked on 3 separate division ladders. But today we're going to be calculating the LCM of these 3 numbers when we're using a single division ladder. Now I know with calculating the LCM on 3 separate ladders that tend to be easier for some persons, but using one single division ladder often works through the numbers a whole lot quicker. So let's get started by using a prime number that we can divide into both 45, 27, and 54. And the first prime number that comes to mind for me is the number 3. So we're going to be dividing 3 into 45, which will be 15 times. 3 will divide into 27 9 times. 3 will divide into 54 18 times. So now we need another prime number that we can divide into 15, 9, and 18. And again, we can use the number 3. So 3 will divide into 15 5 times. 3 will divide into 9 3 times. And 3 will divide into 18 6 times. Now at this point in my division ladder, I now have 5, 3, 6. Now two of these numbers, which is 3 and 6, I can continue dividing with the number 3. So I will do that. Now since 3 is unable to divide into 5, that number will come down in my division ladder. 3 will divide into 3 once. 3 will divide into 6 twice. So now at this point, we're now going to have to begin working these numbers out separately. So I will use 5 since 5 is the first number in my division ladder that I'm going to be dividing into. So 5 will divide into 5 once. I will continue bringing my 1 down, and since 5 is unable to divide into 2, I will also return the 2 to my division ladder. And now to complete our division ladder, we will divide by the number 2. I'm going to bring my 1 down since that line is completed, and also bring the second 1 down and then divide my 2 into 2, which will be 1. So now that all of my numbers are completely prime factorized, I will now express these numbers as a product of their prime factors and begin calculating the LCM of these 3 numbers. So our prime factors are going to be 2 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 5. And what I will now do is I will do some group multiplication to help simplify my numbers a whole lot more. So I know that with 3 being cubed, I know that 3 cubed, which is the same thing as saying 3 times 3 times 3, is equal to 27. So I will return my 27. I will also multiply my 2 times 5, which will equal to 10. So I will now have 27 being multiplied to 10, which is equal to 270. So the LCM of these 3 numbers is 270. Okay, so I know this process seems a whole lot quicker than it probably did in the first video where we worked these numbers out separately, because in that first session we would have had to prime factorize each division ladder, then group their like pairs, and then multiply those numbers together, and then we would have reached at our LCM. But learning to use the division ladder to work with all 3 of your numbers at once does have its perks. It does come with practice, and it does encourage you, and it should motivate you to develop your skills a whole lot more when it comes to using the division ladder. So I hope this method was very helpful to you. Remember to check out the previous video as well, where we worked these 3 numbers out separately, and make sure that you get some additional practice in as well. And until next time, this is Jules Math Tools, where we make math easy.